Easy. There's a charger head here, you know. Good evening, good evening, folks, wherever you are, whether you're streaming on Facebook or you're connected via radio. Good evening and welcome to Choices on 970 on the AM dial, we're 97X, WSTX, and it's just a beautiful, what night is it, Friday?
It's Friday.
Mm, right, yeah.
The week has
Not the week.
it's come to an end.
The year is running at a
Oh
rapid
well,
pace.
I wasn't even going there. Today is what, the 8th of May?
Yep,
Wow,
we're into the month of May.
very
Well into it,
interesting.
you know. But hey,
School
it's
is
good to be
coming
here.
to our
We've got
house.
so many things that we want to touch upon this evening. Have you guys made contact with Shanice?
I did,
She gonna be joining
and
us,
she should be joining us shortly.
and of course we don't know if Anu is going to show up. But anyway, we're getting ready to celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday. And among all the things we want to talk about, we want to, of course, acknowledge the greatness of mothers, what mothers
Definitely.
mean. None of us could not have been here without a mother's womb to nurture us from the very beginning. And so it doesn't matter how we slice it or dice it, mothers are a very important part of this matrix, and we ought to recognize that and give honor to our mothers. I think every young man, before he thinks of doing anything rash or foolish, should think about his mother in particular and should want to bring a sense of pride to his mother. Don't do anything that will bring tears to his mother's eyes. Respect the womb that birthed you, young man. Respect the woman who carried you on her arms and placed you on her stomach and had you sucking those paps. That's where you began to build your initial immunity, the milk that you got from your mother's paps. And think of the times when you were sick in the evening and she nursed you. And, she was so kind and gentle in making sure that she tried to comfort you and make you feel better. When you couldn't even tell her what was aching you, paining you, she was there trying to figure out what's wrong with my child. Why is my child crying in this manner? And you guys, you men married to the women, think about what she has gone through. One of the things I try to do when my children got up as we were raising them, when they got up in the night crying, I tried not to allow my wife to be the one to always go take care of them, get the bottle to feed them. I wanted to be a part of the whole thing, and so I'm
which is a
considering.
great or which is a great ordeal. And I think any lady that have that man that steps in to help, you got to appreciate such a man, because some of us, the father gone from he gone from before you even gave birth, and you're just doing it all alone. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
don't
that
even know. I sometimes I think it's misdirection, miseducation that have men abdicating their responsibilities, their duties as the male figure in the home, and so that's another thing we need to address in this community of ours. But I want to, mothers out there, I want to pay a special tribute to you this evening before we get into the real meat of choices on this program. We want to honor you guys, so I want to play this tune in your honor for all of you mothers out there. When you're ready, Josh, let it let it play. Yep, yep. This is you got it. All right, there you go, ladies. It's all for you mothers.
All the beautiful mothers from Norman Buffalo, Chembati, from early morning to the setting sun. Mothers keep the family strong as one. With love and care in everything they do. Virgin Islands mothers, we celebrate you. You guide our children, you light the way. With strength and courage every day. Through every struggle, through every smile. You make our islands worthwhile. Oh, mothers of the Virgin Islands, queens of love and sacrifice, you give your heart to every generation. Your love makes paradise. Oh, happy Mother's Day, we honor you today. From Papa with love in every way. Yeah. Your present wisdom build our land. Helping every child to rise and stand. You are the heartbeat of our community, the shining light for unity. Oh, mothers of the Virgin Islands, strong and beautiful inside. Today we lift our voices proudly with gratitude and pride. Oh, happy Mother's Day, we celebrate your name. Love and the bold and the peace, salute your strength again. Oh, mothers of the Virgin Islands, queens of love and sacrifice, you give your heart to every generation. Your love makes paradise. Oh, happy Mother's Day, we honor you today. From Papa with love in every way. Yeah. Oh, mothers of the Virgin Islands, strong and beautiful inside. Today we lift our voices proudly with gratitude and pride. Oh, happy Mother's Day, we celebrate your name. Love and the bold and the peace, salute your strength again. Oh, yeah.
All right, there you have it, mothers of the Virgin Islands, and even beyond the Virgin Islands. To mothers everywhere, we honor you. Of course, I am Mother's Day is on Sunday. I won't be on not until Monday, and so I have to take this opportunity to extend Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. Community, let us not forget that every president, every king, every governor, every senator, every physician, every engineer, every professional owes their presence here to a mother who bore them 10 lunar months in the womb, went through labor pains and birthed them. Am I right? Isn't it 10 lunar months they go through?
That's what they say, but I did not go to not 10 months. My son came 8.5 months. Because that was not a full 9 months. I did not go past 36 weeks.
He's a rarity. He's
second day into my 36 week, I had him.
Some of them come at 7, after 7 months. Yeah, so Shanice, what's up?
Hello, good night, everybody.
Good night, Shanice.
Good night to you, and of course, your happy Mother's Day, your honors in advance. Blessings to you.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Happy Mother's Day for Chucky.
Well, hello, Malia. Good night. Thank you for wishing us happy Mother's Day. We appreciate it.
Thanks and blessings to you, Malia. She's gone quiet.
Yeah, because I called her out.
Anyway, quite a bit I want to touch upon this evening, but before we get into our discussions, I want to, of course, extend condolences to the family of former Senator Ronald Russell, who passed away. Ronald Russell was one of the first persons who became a friend of mine when I came to the Virgin Islands. We were members of the first freshman class at the College of the Virgin Islands here on the St. Croix campus. He had a small white, I forget what kind of car it was, but he allowed me to drive it around. He would pick me up sometimes in the morning to get to class, and then he would drop me home from school. He opened up his grandmother's place onto me. He played in a band. I think the band was either, I'm not too sure, it was Soul Busters at the time, I think. But between Soul Busters and Quiet Fire, I don't quite recall, all the facts and of the matter at this point in time. But he played along with the Carrington brothers and Bobby Richards and others. Perhaps Tony Richards might have been a part of that band as well, and some others. And so they practiced in the mother's garage over in Mars Hill. And so sometimes he would take me over there. I wasn't given to music, so I didn't play any musical instrument. I'd be out there with the guys, and I must say, Amanda, they really welcomed me into the house and treated me like I was one of them. So I'm grateful for that. He took me around to meet friends. That's how I came to know Charlene Abramson and John Abramson. That's how I came to know Roy DeLamus. That's how I came to know a couple of the Adams from the Princess area. There was Michelle Adams and Yvonne Adams and Bruce Adams, I think were the names. And so, I got to meet a number of Virgin Islanders through Ronnie Russell. And so he will be sorely missed. But he made significant contributions, and you'll hear folks talking about it because he was an attorney at law. He was a school teacher. He taught at Central High School. He was an avid sportsman. I think he ran track. He might have even represented the Virgin Islands at the Olympic level. I'm not too sure about that, but made significant contributions. He served with the Board of Education as an attorney, I think, at one point, among other things. And of course, he also served as a senator. So we really have to tip our hats to him, and we hope that he will rest in peace with the Lord Most High. All right, so having said that, amongst the different things I want us to touch upon, before I even go there, I want to again mention the plight of the folks over in Mount Pleasant, where the new Arthur Richards School is being constructed. The folks have, at least one individual contacted me and spoke about the impact of the dust in the area. I spoke to several individuals, to include the administrator for St. Croix, discussed the matter with him, and he promised me he was going to look into it. He did promise to get back to me. He has not done so. I don't know whatever reasons he has not been able to do so. But I want people to understand that health is very important. Without sound health, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't enjoy it. It doesn't matter what beautiful structures you put up in terms of homes, you can't enjoy that. It doesn't matter what kind of family you have, where you have a beautiful husband, wife, and lovely children, intelligent, and looking to do well academically and beyond. You can't enjoy these things unless you have good health. sound health. And so health is important and should be made a priority. And I don't think we should take that for granted. Neither should we sacrifice the health of people in our community because of, advances in other areas. In other words, yes, we have to build schools. We have to make sure that we provide our children with the proper educational resources. But in the process of doing that, we have to mitigate hazards to make sure that, we do not put our communities in danger, in peril of any kind. And so after this lady called me and spoke to me on two occasions about the plight that we faced with in the Mount Pleasant area, I decided to contact individuals to see what can be done. I spoke to several individuals, as I mentioned earlier on. Everybody gave me a promise they were going to do something. One of the things I was told is that the residents were asking for some kind of relocation, perhaps temporary relocation. And I was told that FEMA doesn't provide for that. The Office of Disaster Recovery doesn't provide for that. There were no other sources that would provide for that kind of relocation. But I believe that the persons in charge should have looked at local resources, whether it is the local housing authority, and to see what they have in terms of housing stock. If they have some vacant units that they could have offered to these individuals. Now, it's one thing for the government to offer people temporary housing in public housing units and they turn it down. If they turn it down, that's on them. But at least I believe government should make some kind of attempt to find, adequate housing for those persons who desire to relocate on a temporary basis because of the dust in the area. And I know that there were times when they had water trucks wetting down the place, but apparently that did not bring about the kind of results that residents expected to have had. So I just wanted to mention that so that all of us here in the territory, in St. Croix in particular, would be aware of what's going on. And I know I was told that the project is about winding down, that within the next 3 or 4 weeks, they should have everything shut down. And part of the reason why they're having all the dust right now is because of backfilling, etc., because they've got to turn the building over to Department of Education. And I understand all of that and I appreciate it. But at the same time, we should not compromise the health and well-being of the residents out there in Mount Pleasant. So I wanted to mention that. Now we will, Shanice, before we even get to the hot button item, I want to just ask you a couple of questions because, of course, you're out there on the mainland. It's a different jurisdiction, but the challenges that you guys have out there, we also experience those challenges here in the territory. And so the legislature right now has come up with a bill to build resilience with our school children, to have the Department of Education put in place some kind of program to help our students build a resilience to mental health issues. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you know of such protocols as you perhaps have them on the mainland that you can share with us?
So we have several protocols, including the school counselor and social worker, where they work hand in hand with the teachers. We also have a curriculum. It's written by secondsteps.org. So that's a curriculum that they're able to use. It starts as early as in kindergarten and it goes up. So that way it's age appropriate.
It's light. And when you say age appropriate, in other words, it covers from kindergarten through to the 12th grade. Am I right?
Yes, it covers all grade levels. And although it may touch on the same topics, some grades may go into more depth than others. I know for our curriculum in kindergarten, we talk about bullying, we talk about safe touch, we talk about how to say no in a strong voice. All those are just a few of the topics that we covered. And again, the website is called secondsteps.org.
And then, of course, you mentioned that, well, when you speak of school personnel being involved in such an initiative, We were talking about counselors, psychologists, nurses, everybody on the school staff would be involved. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. The teachers, we have lessons that we teach, and the counselors do assist, and they do come in for certain lessons if the teachers may not be comfortable. For
Hmm.
example, when they start talking about touchy subjects, about good touch, bad touch,
Hmm.
the counselor does those lessons in my class, and I leave out. That way, students can feel comfortable sharing any information that they may want to share
Hmm. But
with
let
the
me ask
student.
you, is that, and hear me, I think it's a beautiful program. Irene, you have this thing that you pulled up for me? Um, you know, here is the thing. Do you guys have that mandated by law that you have it, or that was just an initiative of your, how you call it now, your school district or what have you over there?
It's not mandated by law, but it is part of the school district under
All
social and emotional learning.
right. All
So
right.
that's just one curriculum that they use for social and emotional learning, which is also called SEL.
Okay. And that's the reason why I asked that, because initially when I heard of the program, the steps being taken to implement such a program at our schools from kindergarten through to the 12th grade, I thought I welcomed the idea. But then, of course, there were some senators who disagreed and, you know, raised questions about whether the government at this point in time has the resources to implement such a program. And that gave me a reason to pause for a while and look at it. And I thought about the fact that we do have some laws on the books, such as dropout prevention, character education, that aren't implemented at the present point in time. And so I thought that perhaps what's needed is for the Department of Education, through whatever avenues they have, to pursue funding to actually develop such a program and to have it implemented. And as you're saying, we already have curricula developed by other parties, other entities, that perhaps we can just simply take a look at that and incorporate it into our programs locally. Am I
Yes,
right?
that's the best bet for everyone to do. And it's very scripted. So we just read the book script by script. We ask questions, the student answer. If there's something that you feel should be reported, then you go ahead and take those steps. But as a mandatory reporter, it's very important for you to know what signs to look for, and when something isn't right. So the curriculum helps with all of those things.
So you, having been involved with that program, and that you just mentioned the responsibility or the initiative exercise to identify signs that may be symptoms of a child, you know, missing the mark, if I may. So, what are some of the signs that we can look for in students that would indicate, mental health challenges or issues, if I may?
So, I mean, the signs can be different for each child, but you want to look for a child who maybe seems like the oddball out, who was
Hmm.
always quiet or to themselves, or they were always joyous and then all of a sudden, they're very to themselves. You want to look at a child who maybe has other issues such as hygiene problems. That could be a sign of assault or neglect occurring at home. There are many different signs that you can look for. It's not just a one size fit all type of thing, but there is a training that we take every year. That's everyone has to take. Sex trafficking training, and as a mandatory reporter, all of the things that you have to look for. And I'm curious. I don't know. Do you know if they do those things?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
We do not. And I believe perhaps that's the reason why senators must have found out that such programs exist on the mainland, and they're now taking a look to see how these programs could be incorporated into our schools here in the territory. Um, I am just something that was pulled up by Irene here and shared with me. I had something which was much more comprehensive on my phone. I don't even know where my phone is at the time. But anyway, basically, just so that for the sake of the listening public, here is what she pulled up for me. School-based mental health programs utilized by nearly 1 in 5 U.S. public school students provide critical early intervention, prevention, and treatment services directly in schools to remove barriers like access and stigma. And the key thing I take from what I just read here is prevention, because the senator who sponsored the piece of legislation did say that it would serve as a preventive tool in terms of mitigating the onset of mental health issues. This continues to say effective programs use a multi-tiered system of supports for social emotional learning, what you mentioned earlier, SEL, and counseling by trained professionals to improve student resilience, reduce anxiety, and improve academic performance. And then they list some different types of mental health programs in schools. One is social emotional learning, SEL, as we pointed out, and that teaches self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and decision-making skills. Then you have the multi-tiered system of supports, a framework aligning academic and behavioral supports across 3 tiers: universal, targeted, and intensive interventions. And I can tell you from personal experience with some individuals, we need that in the schools here. And then you have what they call trauma-informed care, positive behavioral interventions and supports focus on fostering a positive school climate and addressing trauma. School-based health centers and also prevention and education programs. And then it goes on to speak about staff training and several other items. The one thing I would like to point out is that as I looked into some of these things earlier on, I found out that, basically, there seem to be a number of students who don't do things as one would expect them to do normally. They don't perform daily tasks, such as some of what you mentioned. They being oblivious to proper hygienic standards is one. Not wanting to engage in constructive daily tasks. Don't want to go to school, for no readily identifiable reason. They just don't want to be in school. They don't want to get up. They have mood swings, getting angry at just any little trivial matter, and getting violent in terms of their response to different things. And I suspect we have a number of students who exhibit such behavior, but we don't have any kind of program in place to give them help, to give them support. And if you ignore the small things that are problematic, that are symptomatic of bigger health issues, and of course, eventually things will escalate to a point where, it's absolute disaster for the individual concerned. And so it is something we need to address. As I mentioned, I've seen little signs, even in terms of when I go to the school to pick up Azai, my grandson, at times. I've seen certain things. And just recently, there was a fight, and that does not necessarily reflect mental health. But let me just share with you, those listening, viewing, there was a fight at one of the public high schools here in the territory. Monitors got involved quickly and diffused the fight. But following that, you had a student who was acting sort of like a newscaster. He came up with his phone and did an interview with one of the guys who was involved in the fight. And so the guy, the one he was interviewing, goes on to speak about what could have been, should have been, or what could have happened, should have happened, and whether there was any intention to retaliate, etc. But he was, giving his personal perspective as one of those who were involved in the fight in terms of what happened, how it happened, and what, if anything, would come up later. And I watched it, and the one takeaway I had was that I loved to see how this guy could imitate the practice of newscasters interviewing someone. I think I thought, and I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, people can correct me. But I thought it was good that he could play that role. I thought it was also good that the other student involved in the fight had the self-confidence to express himself. And of course, there were other students standing around. And when the guy who was playing the role of newscaster tried to get another one into the discourse, of course, he stayed away. He didn't want to get involved. It also told me that those students would get into these things knowing that these things will show up on social media, and they're not even giving second thought to what if parents see that and how the parents would react. So it allows for us to think broadly about these matters and where the generation is going, the trajectory for the generation today, and if the pathways need to be altered somewhat so that we have better outcomes with those students. And that's just my personal take on that. Any responses from you two?
Well, I feel like at this point, if he's able to articulate what occurred that day, and so much so that it sounded like um a news anchor, then someone
Mhm.
should probably take him and manifest that and possibly turn that into a career, because that's a good trait to have: public speaking, communications. And then also, I'm glad the other students stared away, because sometimes you just have to mind your business.
I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. Sometimes you just have to mind your business. Our society has evolved to a point where we are minding our own business to a large extent, and yet there is so much being exposed via social media that should not be exposed, perhaps. And we're going to get into that shortly. We're going to get into that shortly in terms of what's being exposed that shouldn't be exposed. But I think our children on a worldwide basis need a lot of guidance and assistance. I say that in terms of what I see being manifested. Recently, what happened with D for VD and the young lady Celeste,
Oh,
and
David.
and and the murder charges that have been brought against him. And even recently, I read where a younger brother, while sympathizing with the family of the young child who was killed, I say a young child because I think
She
she
was a
was,
teen. She was
yeah.
14. I think she would have been turning 14 or something like that.
All
In the
right.
age range of 14 or something.
But David's younger brother supports the family, um, extends his condolences, but at the same time, he also has an obligation to support his brother who is being charged. Difficult thing. And then a couple of other things I see, even in terms of those who go beyond that. Um, I read some things with Stefan Diggs and a former, some lady,
Chef. This former
a
chef.
chef, that and of course he has been cleared of the charges.
Well, you know, I don't want to get too deep with my opinion, but that chef, yeah, he needed to be clear because her story, like when she got up on that stand and she started speaking, I was like, ma'am, you seem like you're looking for money,
Hmm.
okay? Because she started with some he slapped her or whatever he did to her, and then she was like, oh, I need a moment. She needed a moment to like gain her composure, started breaking down, and everybody's like commenting like, really, miss, like what really happened between you and him.
Mhm.
And Stefan is just in his chair like this lady just sitting up here and opening her mouth and telling lies.
Mhm.
That's the look he had on his face to me.
Yeah, but here is the thing. I think we have to be careful in terms of the decisions we make, the choices we make. Obviously, Stefan, based on the lady's testimony, he and the lady had some kind of an intimate
Yeah,
um,
previously.
relationship before she became the chef. And so, there is an old African proverb that says that you don't do where you eat. And our youngsters need to hold on to that. You don't do where you eat. It's gonna create
Well,
problems.
he likes so many women, so somebody gotta bring him down. That's how it'll go in life.
Oh yeah. I don't think it should be about bringing people down. Anyway, besides that, what other noteworthy thing I saw trending that I wanted to bring up? Let me see if I have a note here. Uh, Before we get into, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, the I speed. What's I
I
show?
show
I
speed.
show. What's it?
I show speed.
All right. He's going all over the place, and I think his
Currently in
appearance. His
Jamaica.
appearance in the Dominican Republic brought down the house. You know, that was it.
Big up to DR.
Busted everything.
How that song to go with the boba?
Mhm.
Brr, 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 brr.
Whatever it
I
is.
forget them bow.
Yeah. And then he's now doing his thing over in Jamaica. But I wanted to point out to those of us in the Virgin Islands in particular. I know some people they're concerned about islands not being visited. Some of the islands were left out on the itinerary, and I understand the reason why some were left out. Haiti, what's going on in Haiti?
And Cuba.
Cuba's position relative to, the United States of America, etc.
Guyana mad, but they,
Guyana is
it's
not.
always an argument that they're not part of the Caribbean basin, but they still feel that they're very Caribbean, so they pressed. They wanted him to go out there.
Guyana is a part of the Caribbean basin.
But they mad.
Guyana is not.
It's in South
Guyana
America,
is
right?
not an island of the Caribbean. Guyana is a part of South America.
Okay, so they pressed.
But Guyana has always been associated with the islands because Guyana was part of the British colonies here in the area. And so you've got to understand that.
I'm upset.
In addition to that, there are other connections that we need to look at. You're upset about what?
He didn't come to Haiti.
You're not a Haitian.
No, it's not a matter of him not going to Haiti. Haiti is in a condition right now
With the gangs.
where people have to be careful about traveling to
Because he
Haiti.
was like right next door. Right next door. Like he
They've
could
been,
have gone there.
they've been kidnapping Americans in Haiti for
They would have
ransom.
took him for a ransom.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And with a
But-
figure like him, come on.
Oh, I was gonna say I watched the whole 3 hours of him visiting the Virgin Islands. I will say I was
Yes.
disappointed.
Me too.
I did not like
Yeah.
what happened. First of all, as much as we love Pompa, Pompa was not a good host. Majority of the people who hosted Speed, they were just trying to talk about themselves instead of showing Speed what the Virgin
You
Islands
are
has
really
to
made
offer.
out.
They were just trying to sell themselves instead of showing what the Virgin Islands has to offer. They were not the only people. Okay, so what he did good was, well, they gave him a Johnny cake, but they put it ketchup on there. And then also, I will say, Island Rides missed an opportunity. Okay, Speed wanted to get on the rides, and they were closed.
You
It was
serious?
too early. It was too
Yes.
early in the daytime.
It doesn't matter. He was coming through there. That should have been stated, and he should have been able to get on the ride. Him alone, not everybody else. That was a big opportunity that was missed. They gave him a Johnny cake. They put ketchup on it. No chicken, no fish, nothing. A Johnny cake full of ketchup. Then the man saying his belly hurting him the whole time after he eat the Johnny cake.
Let me
Okay, the
tell you.
Fresco. The Freco making, that was good. Okay, that was good. The indigenous Indians to St. Thomas, that was good. All right. Everything else, down the drain. Oh, and the part when he got to perform his song at Carnival, that was good. Everything else, trash.
But let me tell you, I don't understand.
Taco thing was good.
The taco introduction, yeah, on the sea, he liked that. He enjoyed that. That was nice. I didn't even know St. Thomas had that going on. So next time I definitely must do it. But I kind of scared to be out there and then thinking of sharks. So I don't know. I don't know. They're gonna have to hand it to me. But that Gucci Johnny cake without some type of meat. They didn't even wait, they didn't even give him pate. No man, I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball, St. Thomas.
Well, here's the thing: you can't blame St. Thomas for that. We have a government department, a government agency that was responsible for coordinating the different activities and events of the trip. They messed up. One of the things I really didn't like about it was that where he actually when Pumpa, what's his name? Pumpa mentioned to him about the other two islands in particular.
Yes, St.
St. John and St. Croix. And he actually said that he had time.
Yeah, he did say that on the stream.
If he had time, he was willing to come to St. Croix. And I think St. Croix had a lot to offer him. Based on what I saw him do in St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and Antigua.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Antigua, he was swimming with stingrays. And so here in St. Croix, you could snorkel with them at the sea turtles. Yeah, you could do snorkeling here on St. Croix with the sea turtles. He could have done horseback riding here in St. Croix.
Right. The jet ski cars.
You have the jet ski cars. Sorry, he could have gone over to Buck Island.
Yeah, and Point Udall.
Point Udall, which is the most. He could have tied Point Udall into a visit to the castle.
Right.
You know, and then he could. Well, no, I wouldn't go there with that.
The casino.
Yeah, well,
he could have. I think he turned 21, so he could have make a brief stop there.
All right. So we do have two casinos here on St. Croix, and I like the casinos they have in St. Thomas, which is just VLT houses. Right. We actually have two casinos here and we're trying to sell the territory. So we could have sold the territory, and then we have a couple of pigs. I think they still do.
The bear drinking.
We have a couple of pigs that actually drink beer.
In the rainforest. You know? But I don't want it to be a division. No hate whatsoever to the Tomians. I went over to St. Thomas recently, and I actually enjoyed my little short stay. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna big it up again. I'm telling you, Margaritaville on the map. I'm trying to go back.
Well, I want to make this clear. It's not about pitting one island against the other. All the islands have their unique characteristics, you know, that make them appealable, if I may, or appealing. And so that's not, I'm saying the persons who organized the event, they were the ones who lacked the foresight, if I may, mm-hmm. to have made such arrangements. It's not about pitting one against the other. When it comes to food, I'm gonna tell you something. We got a blend of food here on St. Croix that is just great in my opinion.
And he definitely should have visited St. Croix when I ain't even fronting about this one here. Definitely should have came over to St. Croix to get a taste of good food.
And they could have even prepared. They could have used them. There was that chicken shack. That's what it is.
Yes, he would have get a nice Johnny cake. He could have how you call it, panade, the breadfruit. He could have get breadfruit tostones.
Right at Chicken Shack, they could have prepared one of those things where they roast the pig.
Right.
Show him exactly.
I mean, if he was into eating,
they could have showed him. I don't know if he's pork, but he had iguana in some place.
He didn't know. They gave him all kind. That's why that man belly hurt him, and every stop he's like, "Oh my stomach."
No, San Lucia, your belly was in Italy.
His belly didn't hurt him in Saint Lucia. Well, big up
No,
to
he
Saint
had a good
Lucia.
time in St. Lucia. But I
Great.
will say he had a good time in St. Lucia. But I feel like they kind of missed the mark because the whole point of it was his partnership with Expedia to
Right.
showcase what the island has to offer. Mind
Uh-huh.
you, they do offer some of those things, but it's not year round. They could have got the biggest bang for their buck, showcasing all of the things that could have been done throughout the year. And
Mm-hmm.
that's I mean that's usually what good marketing is about. But I don't know who was head of that
Yeah, well, like I
because
said,
Yeah, the tourism department
those,
for each
those
island.
behind it. And
yeah,
you know,
they
it's
dropped the
good that,
ball.
and I want folks to understand
And
that
he
you're a
didn't want
Virgin
to
Islander.
market
You
it.
live on the mainland, but you're a Virgin Islander.
He didn't
I
want to market it.
definitely think he needs a part two to all the other islands that he didn't visit, like Martinique. Where else he didn't? He need to come do this.
Yeah.
He need to come Saint
Right.
Croix. He need to do Saint John. Um, Cuba if they get
No,
permission.
I don't think that's going to work. I doubt it. Not Cuba. Not
We'll let him.
unless between Marco Rubio and President Trump, they can
Oh,
arrange
President
something.
who?
You know. But I also want to say another thing about I found out about
He could go to
St.
the
Croix. There is a
ABC
place
Island.
on the
Oh
northern
yeah,
side
Aruba.
of St. Croix where they seem to have some kind of a pool type structure. I don't know how the
Yeah.
seawater gets in there,
Mm-hmm.
and it forms like a pool.
Where's that the tide
I've
pool?
never been
Yeah.
there.
Oh, the tide pools.
I've never been there, but I heard about it. Now imagine I live on St. Croix and I've not been there.
If
And
you're afraid of
afraid of what?
I don't know, being by the sea and it could get rough out there sometimes.
He could come and visit.
But I understand that they've got this place
Well,
which
he-
is some kind of
He
a
could come and
tide
visit
pool.
the island.
Hey, right around the side on St. Croix. They've got this. And so maybe he could have gone there too, because he seems to be a pretty brave and daring individual, you know.
Very much so. He said
Yeah.
he's not afraid of anything. Even that, let me tell you, PR stream, right? Puerto Rico. When they was asking him to do that backflip from that pool, I went in the chats. I'm sorry. I was like, please don't do that because I fear it. He said, it's only 5 feet.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like skeptical, and I was skeptical too because I'm like, Jesus Lord, if he do a backflip and it go wrong, I don't want to see it.
But here is the important take about this, folks. I understand when this guy started off, his mother didn't support him.
She did.
And he and the mother had a falling out. So he actually moved out of the mother's house
That.
and went to live with his dad. Now that we're talking choices. He made that choice. He moved out of the mother's house, moved in with his dad, continued doing his thing, and see where he's at today.
Yeah,
Now, mind you, I understand that he takes care of his mom big time.
he does. He gave
So-
back to her, even though.
So in spite of what happened, he still has love for his mother. You know.
His
And
mom
so-
always supported him. He tried to set her house on fire.
oh
He would
no.
do crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was mad bonkers, back then. But he
But-
came a long way. I'm proud of him
Yeah.
at that young age.
Well, I didn't know that he was a fire starter or trying to be a fire starter. I just found out, you know. You see, we're always learning. But I hope that, he can above all be an example to others, youngsters coming up. And so that, and of course, nowadays, man, I think the sky is the limit in terms of opportunities available to youngsters out there, So,
Before we wrap it up on that, I just want to say, no shade to Jamaica, but Jamaica was acting like they had it in the bag, like they was going to top the earth. I just laugh after that because somebody was like, that was boring. After when
But-
they did.
St. Croix still on the map. It's okay. I saw Deion Sanders out there, and then he was at the baseball field in Wim, and he was watching the players play baseball, and so that was really cool. That to know that Wim baseball park where I grew up, right there in Wim, was Deion Sanders was showcased in that. That was
Mhm.
nice.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
and he's actually thinking of, I think he's looking to buy a house here on St. Croix.
Yeah,
But
we were
anyway,
looking at
As we get into the main thing, I want to just
I have
remind
one for
folks-
him.
Let me hear that.
I
Sorry?
said I need to contact Deion. I have one for him.
Oh, okay. All right. let me just say that as we get into this here, those of you who want to call in and share with us, 773-0390, 773-0490 are the numbers to call, and of course, the area code is 340. Um, I'm just checking to see if there isn't anybody on the line.
I don't think so.
Okay, this looks different. All right, so here is the thing. Now we're talking about choices, and we just celebrated Carnival, St. Thomas Carnival, Virgin Islands Carnival. We also have a festival on St. Croix that comes up later in the year, and we do have a festival on St. John. St. John is 4th of July. For St. Croix, it runs from sometime in December into January.
Early half of January.
Yeah. So it's all about festival, having a good time. But I was in St. Thomas for the Juve, and I didn't stay for the actual carnival itself. And I really enjoyed myself in St. Thomas. I appreciated the progress that I saw in St. Thomas because I've not been to St. Thomas in about 15 years. And so the St. Thomas that I saw during my recent visit is an advanced St. Thomas, a grown St. Thomas, and perhaps I can say a well-cared St. Thomas. They've actually put, those responsible have put some energy, some resources into St. Thomas, and St. Thomas has been doing pretty well. I loved what I saw of Juve. I was not a part of the Juve, but I stayed at a hotel right in the heart of the activity. And so I heard all the sounds of Juve. I came out a little later and I saw what perhaps I should not have seen in terms of how people dress. And we can talk about that as we get into this situation here. So let me just read out the narrative and we'll get into the discussion. Did you all share that with Shanice? Well,
I think Shanice, you have the information. Oh, she gone down. She went out.
there she comes. She's right back.
You have that information I shared with you last week about the Juve fallout.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that's what we're getting into. So let me get into it so that folks
Want me
viewing
to read?
and listening can hear. All right. Let Mandy read it. Go ahead, Mandy.
All right. It's just before sunrise on Carnival morning, and the streets are alive. Music pumping, paint flying, people dancing through the dim blue light. A young couple, Kayla and Dre, weave through the crowd together, both covered in powder and oil, trying to enjoy the energy of Juve. Kayla is dressed in a bold, eye-catching outfit, bright colors, beads, and a thong-style bottom that's become popular in recent years. She feels confident, free, and fully in the spirit of Carnival. Dre, her boyfriend, however, has been unusually quiet since they left home. He mad? At first, it's subtle. He makes a comment about how things gone too far nowadays. I gotta speak like these boys. Kayla brushes it off, laughing, thinking he's joking. But as they move deeper into the crowd, Dre's mood shifts. He notices other people looking, some dancing close, some taking pictures. So now Dre says, "Why you had to wear that?" He finally says this in a sharp tone. Kayla stops dancing. "Wear what? It's Juve? Everybody dressed like this." "Not like that," Dre replies, gesturing awkwardly. "You basically naked out here." Kayla's expression tightens. "I dress for me, not for anybody else. This is Carnival, baby. This is what people love wear." The music blares around them, but now there's a bubble of tension. A few people nearby glance over, sensing the argument. Dre shakes his head. I don't like it. You disrespecting me out here. Kayla crosses her arms. Disrespecting you? Oh, you just insecure. That hits a nerve. Dre steps back, frustrated. Nah, I not doing this. I'm not standing here while everybody watching my girl like that. Kayla raised voice rises. Then don't. Nobody forcing you to stay. There's a long pause. The music feels louder, now almost drowning them out. Dre exhales sharply. You know what? I done. Enjoy your juve. Kayla stands there for a moment. No, and just like that, he turns and he disappears into the crowd. He gone. He can't take the heat. It's too much for him. Kayla stands there for a moment, stunned. The energy of the celebration swirls around her. People dancing, laughing, covered in paint, but she feels suddenly alone. Yeah, her man gone. Her friends spot her from across the street and they rush over, pulling her into the festivities, trying to lift her mood. As the sun begins to rise, Kayla slowly lets herself get back into the rhythm. She's hurt, but also resolute. For her, Carnival is about freedom, expression, and joy, and she's not ready to give that up. Meanwhile, Dre walks away, conflicted. Part of him feels justified, but another part wonders if he let his pride ruin something that could have been talked through. By the end of the morning, both are left with the same question. Was it really about the outfit or something deeper neither of them knew how to say?
So let me ask you first of all, folks, before we even get into what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, before we get into the nitty gritty of how some females in particular might choose to irrationally put on something that's not appropriate. My question is, could this situation have been handled differently? Who who dropped the ball in terms of not, you know, handling this in a tactful manner, if I may?
Um, my first thing is, there's some women, they're not gonna let men control them, and clearly Kayla was stating that with her expressions. But did they even discuss, hey, sometimes you get outfit and you want to show your boyfriend like I going down the road in this is why I going down in, you show your outfit off before the actual juve. So I'm saying, did that even,
Obviously,
I
that didn't happen.
um I don't know. I am too self-conscious. I don't know. Even if I had like I don't have that great body that I would go out there to show off, but even if I had it, I I can't take the comments and the stares sometime of people.
Mhm.
I've experienced having clothes on and comments being made about me, and it was disgusting. I went St. Martin, New York, and St. Lucia, and I didn't like the comments that I heard.
Mhm.
It was awful. So I don't think I would feel good in my skin to do it. I'm not that comfortable.
Shanice, let me hear you.
Well, those of you who know me know I am quite the opposite.
Free spirit.
I am the opposite. I feel like I'm very confident in myself. And even some things that I probably would not wear, Mikey's like, you should wear this, you should wear that. So I feel like that's very important to have a partner who is confident and know that regardless what you're wearing at the end of the night, Like you going home with them. And people can look all they want as long as they don't touch. But again, that's you have to have a confident individual with you because if somebody's insecure, that at the end of the day, it could be a life or death situation.
So why is it that whenever a man finds a woman engaging in behavior that seems to lean towards the provocative side of sexuality, that the first thing the woman responds is to tell the man that he's insecure? Why?
Because he cannot handle the heat. He cannot handle other men
The
looking at
attention.
his. Yes, he can't handle the attention that the person who he's with is getting. Now it can go both. It can go two ways. It can be like, man, why everybody looking at my girl? Or it can go, yeah, that's me right there. Go ahead and look. That's all me.
Knowing that at the end of the day, I have her partners. Y'all only get a view. But let me tell you. So I want to jump into a picture that went viral for Juve St. Thomas 2026.
But there was no beauty in that. Nothing attractive. That was ugly. That was out of place. That was dumb. Wasn't even necessary.
But I'm saying, like, where was the friends to say, my girl, I don't think this here gonna work for us to like go down the street end because like not only like attention coming to you, I feel bad as a friend that you to even let you walk like that out in the public. Like what?
So let me ask
I need to see the picture.
Let me ask. Did I send it to you? Well, I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Let me ask you both something. What's it about? Well, first of all, Shanice, would you allow for your boyfriend to dress up in a skimpy underwear?
Well, that man is from Guadalupe. I always get in the threats.
A skimpy underwear and go into a Juve with you?
He want to wear a speedo underwear, and I'm just waiting for him to wear it. I'm like, go ahead. You want to go to a nude beach? Let's go.
Would you feel comfortable him walking next to you in a Juve or a parade, dressed up with he's completely bareback and just having a little skimpy speedo? Well, they call it a speedo.
Well, if your man has the body and you don't have a problem, like you see how the seesaw goes both ways, like you as a confident woman, like okay, y'all could watch if y'all want, but this mine's, and your man have a great body. They probably
so you don't mind him showing that in public?
No. I ain't that woman. I'm not that woman. You're not going on. Why you got to be doing that?
Okay, Shanice, what about you?
I don't mind. Now, just don't go over there trying to talk to no girls or nothing, because then it's gonna be a problem. But I don't mind. I don't mind, honestly. I don't mind. I feel like it's fun. It's funny.
In the public streets, dressed like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
All right, I hear that.
I might. Like, if my man already attractive in the face, like, I don't want him showing off too much. I'm sorry.
So how best can we avoid conflict in terms of a couple going out to an event such as Juve or Carnival? How best do you avoid conflict in terms of the dressing, style of dressing, choice of dress?
Both people have to come to an agreement, like, because if there's no agreement and they're like people, you see how Shani says she don't mind. She's comfortable. Like her man could go, and if he feel like putting on the speedos and having his shirt off and he got a great body, hey, what the heck? Show yourself. Put your best foot forward.
Let me ask you two ladies a question. Why is it that women choose to dress in a sexually suggestive or provocative manner?
I think it's attention. Most of it.
They're looking at attention.
Most of it, because like you have like this banging body, and you put on this piece that's just gonna drop like women and men gonna be looking. I'm telling you.
So you're looking at attention. Shanice, what's your position? What's your take on that?
I could say yes, attention, but also I know for me personally, it was like there was a time where after having two kids, like right after having Malia, like as soon as I got home from the hospital, I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, man, I can't believe I look like this. And so when I was able to, lose that baby weight and get to the body, that I really like, I was so happy with myself. I felt so good, so confident that I just wanted to put clothes on that I probably wouldn't have worn before. It made me feel good first and foremost. Now the
Mhm,
compliments are just extra. The
mhm,
attention is just extra because that can go two ways. It can be negative attention and positive attention. But
mhm,
for me, it's how I feel in the clothing.
mhm. Now, hear me out. I think, people should dress in a manner that, there's a sense of appeal. But I'm saying, from the female side in particular, you ain't looking. You don't capture your dream man. You don't need to dress in such a manner when you're going out there publicly because you don't have him.
How am I
Wait.
going to be
You're
jealous?
looking for nothing else.
Wait, your wife said she wants her man to be jealous. Oh boy, this is crazy. So yeah. But
You heard that side comment there?
what?
I think that's only a conversation when you're doing it for that reason. But if you're
Mhm,
not doing it for that reason, regardless if you have somebody or not, then it shouldn't matter.
mhm.
Now, that picture you just sent me, now that's crazy. The whole
All right.
toti was out. That's unacceptable.
It was ridiculous if you ask me. And I'm like, I couldn't feel comfortable as a friend to let you go out the house like that. I couldn't feel listen, I have a bathing suit at home. And when I purchased this bathing suit, I didn't know the back was what it was. I don't like tongues. I ain't got a butt for tongues, but I don't like it. And when I realized that's what the bathing suit is, the bathing suit is still in the plastic because the front is a problem and the back
And,
So
and, and Shanice,
you're
let me
giving
just
it
say to you
away
that
to the color that counts.
this what she shared with you, that was all over social media here in the territory and beyond. And so much so, you see what you just said about it? When my grandson saw it, he said, "What's this?
she trying to be a slice of
This
pizza.
this a slice of pizza. So this is a pizza slice pork there right there. Ridiculous. Didn't even look good. Didn't look attractive. But she was out there feeling good there. Now here is the thing. The side comment that came in. You do these things to make your man jealous. In other words, that's another thing women do. They dress like that, they go out in public to get the attention of other guys to see if your man gets, of course, I'll get jealous.
That's you. But a confident man who know this is my piece. Y'all ain't gaining there.
Hey, my wife dressing in a sexually suggestive, provocative manner in public, and then she's flirting with a man in front of me. You
Oh.
must be crazy. I mustn't get jealous.
So what's your outcome when you see this play happening?
I will put her aside and I will tell her straight up, hey, listen, I don't like it. Because you're actually playing me right now. You there,
Kitchen is hot, me and a Rocky.
you there teasing other man, you giving them vibe, and I am in my face. That's disrespectful, man. Come on, don't do that to a guy.
All right, so I have a question. Okay, so what if your wife or your girlfriend, whoever, what if this person works in a setting where that's required? For example, a bartender. You're at the bar. You don't have to dress like the people at
A bottle
Carnival, but
girl.
you still wear some tight clothing. It could be leggings, but it shows your physique pretty much, right?
Mhm.
In order to, if you work in a setting like that, you want a lot of tips, right? That's the whole point. So you might be a little flirtatious
You
or
know how they
something.
call those? You know how they call those settings? What's it? Players Club. What's the other one with Hugh Hefner and them?
Broker? I don't know.
Oh, the
Playboy.
Playboy's mansion.
Playboy, and this kind of thing.
Playboy then.
My woman and I
I
were
mean,
just looking.
you could be a bartender at a regular bar. You know, you just flirt a little bit. At the end of the night,
Listen,
$1,000.
listen, and that was my next thing.
Flirting is good for the relationship.
I couldn't have seen myself going and pull my body and display for free. My mindset is like, only fans, I need money. Y'all gonna be watching the view. I need the money.
Well, let me just say that here is my take on all of this. If we're going to the Juve, we should lay down the ground rules before we leave home. If we're a couple, in terms of how we're going to dress and how we're going to behave. If I have a wife, I know she likes to tease and play and flirt with other guys. We need to set down the ground rules, how this is going to be done. There is a level beyond which I can't accept these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, we have to consider what kind of an example we're putting out there for people. What I saw in St. Thomas with a lot of the young women, the whole bam bam exposed, with just a tongue running down through the back,
That's
know.
the end thing right now.
To me, if you have a boyfriend, you shouldn't dress like that to go out there. I don't mind you wearing a hot pants, but this thing with a tongue going through and all your backside exposed, and some of them have jingle backsides. They even look good.
Wait, what's the jingle?
You know,
Buffalo?
and they got it out there. I mean, come on, man.
My gosh.
It looks ugly.
Oh,
It looks,
my goodness.
come on, it looks grotesque. You know.
Mm.
So if you have tight skin and that's a different thing. But even then, you should be discreet.
Stop body
Exercise
shaming.
discretion.
No
Let me know.
discrimination. I said stop body shaming, no discrimination. And you know what's crazy to me is they dress like that and then they go home and they're your doctors, your lawyers, your
Oh, yeah.
attorneys, your nurses, saving your life, police officers. It's a time and place, I guess.
Yeah, you just after all the carnival activities happen and you was spread eagle on a ground getting done like you was in a strip club. You back at work on Monday like ain't nobody saw you.
At some point,
Nobody.
At some point, we have to maintain a level of decency and self-respect. And I'm simply saying, let's tone it down a bit. I have nothing against the individuals particularly or personally. I'm just saying, let's exercise a bit of control from here on. We don't need to get on like
You
that.
ain't gonna stop them. Them
Yeah,
girls probably.
you know.
I'm sure the revelers who watching and that's their thing to be in this tongue attire. They probably like, what is he talking about?
Well, I don't have nothing personal against them. They shouldn't have anything personal against me. I'm talking about dress codes, what's appropriate and what may not be appropriate. Now it boils down to something. It's a matter of individual choices. There was a time people used to streak, run through the streets naked. It's not acceptable, but if that's what you choose to do, hey, I can't stop you. I would recommend that you don't do it.
Now,
and so that's what I'm doing here.
I ain't gonna lie to you. The costumes will be real nice and pretty, you know. I could like put a costume on to just model a headset, whatever stuff attire, but to actually be going down the street in it, nah, I can't do it.
Let me.
And then I don't know. Big up to those ladies. I don't know how they don't fit into these costumes because I watch some of these costumes and I just watching it like I don't think that gonna work for me. I think when I go and pick up my costume, I would be so shame. I spend $1,000 and then it just don't fit how I need it to fit.
Let me share with you guys here on this program and those who are viewing, listening. There is a recent story, I think that happened in Texas, where a guy and his wife, the guy is, I think, 52, the wife is 39. They owned 2 restaurants, had 2 children, one age 8, the other one age 4. One of the restaurants was actually featured in one of the network's food tasting, whatever it is, program they've got. And this guy actually, whatever happened, he killed his wife age 39. He killed his two children, 1 8, 1 4, and then turned the weapon upon himself and killed himself. Nobody knows what's the motive. You know, it was family members who did a health check, a welfare check, whatever they call it, and discovered what had happened. And when the authorities went in there, they found out it was a murder-suicide. And I'm saying, whilst we don't know the particulars of that, I see too many things happening with couples, which ends up in a disastrous manner. And so my message to couples young and old alike is be a little judicious, exercise discretion in terms of what you say, what you do, and how you do it and how you say it. You know, a lot of times we get into trouble simply because we chose to say something and we chose to say it in a bad way. You follow what I'm saying to you? There are people who say that they don't get involved in matters with other people, period, and just leave it alone. Mind your own business. I have a hard time applying that. When I see people in trouble, I want to come in and help. And sometimes when you step in to help, you end up in problems.
Thank you.
You know, and so I'm saying to all couples, you know, just be respectful, exercise discretion, try to be as accommodating as possible, and don't be disrespectful of each other. Don't say or do what would offend the other party. And if necessary, communication is very important. Get together, discuss things, and set parameters, you know, to avoid disastrous conclusions. Because I mean, there is a lot that I come across in terms of newsworthy items, trending matters, where because of a poor decision, a poor choice, you have disaster. You guys realize that how many times I understand that just about every day in America, there is a situation that ends up disaster. The domestic, how should I put it? A domestic violence situation. And most of the time, a woman finds herself at the rotten end of the stick. Majority of the time, it's a man doing something to a woman. There is a lot of domestic violence taking place in America. I forget the amount I saw in terms of, you know, how many women are killed. With domestic violence situations, about 90% of the time, it's a woman who finds herself at the rotten end of the stick. And so these are things we have to give consideration to as to why couples get into situations that are messy is because of a lack of communication or poor communication to begin with. It's because we don't set boundaries in terms of what we will allow in the relationship. You know, women have to watch how they talk to men because a man's ego is easily bruised. You bruise his ego and he acts stupid. So all of these things that doesn't mean that I am like that, you know. I speak in general terms, you know. Don't go thinking that because Bapo says that Bapo's ego is easily bruised. I'm just simply saying, you know. And so my advice to women is to, like, you know, if you really want to preserve your relationship, you want to keep your relationship going, don't be like these two in this situation. You stepping out of the house half naked. And then when the man confronts you, you see he's being disrespectful or he's being insecure. And next thing, the whole thing goes kaboom.
I mean, kid, I just, like, don't get me wrong, I love my little sexy clothes, you know. It's way better, like, sir, And fun none of this here. I feel like going outside like that. Don't tell me nothing. Don't tell me nothing.
You should tell them what you should tell. You should tell them of your personal experience at Kmart.
Oh, Kmart, that was a hot mess. And if I could see that old man today, I will tell him about himself. Had me thrown out at Kmart for a top I had on. He harassed me until the manager came to me and tell me I can't be in a store like that. And I have seen people went in. That's why that store closed. I glad. Tell me I get kicked out at Kmart for a top I had on. Like, that's unbelievable.
Instead of they kicking out the man for harassing you.
Yeah,
kicked
that
you out.
old man was a problem.
The man was a security guard.
Oh, that's
And
not an
so he
excuse.
felt that she wasn't dressed appropriately to be in the store.
But then a white woman came in with in a bikini.
Yeah, people that was going in
So,
Kmart
we-
in all kinds of outfits and they didn't get thrown out or
We've
harassed.
got to be fair. One of the things I saw in St. Thomas, I was in an establishment. All the ladies in there, especially the young ones, they were half naked, showing off what they shouldn't show off. But a guy walks in there with just shorts on, bareback, and the man asks him to get out. Plain discrimination, The women can expose all of that, but a guy comes in bareback and you ask him to leave the
And
establishment.
that's what
Right.
it's all about, because the guy now saying more women for him. You come in here, you mess up that plate, coming in there with this no shirt on, so you have to throw him out.
Well, anyway, hopefully we learn to make better choices because that's what this is all about. And of course, we have discussed all the parameters in terms of how people can stay safe when they're discussing these things. We have a song that speaks to that. Hopefully, we'll be able to play it later on during the course of the year because we have the St. John Festival coming up, and we also have Christmas Festival coming up, and our young people in particular, need safety guidelines. So again, I want to thank you guys for being here with me on the program. I want to once again say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I hope you enjoy Saturday in true mother's fashion. Sunday. In true mother's fashion.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mama bears, even those who are carrying right now and haven't given birth as yet. You're still a mama. You on that journey, almost there.
Shanice, a word from you.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to everyone. I hope that you enjoy your time. Give the kids to their daddies. And hopefully the Virgin Islands really tie in that social and emotional learning because that will help, for people to be able to communicate effectively with each other and to have emotional intelligence, to understand where people can be coming from, to sympathize, empathize, and Malia wants to get her speech in, as you can hear.
Oh yeah, Malia, say your last 2 words, honey. We waiting for you. You gonna say happy Mother's Day to all the mamas?
She gone silent. Well,
She
anyway.
ain't say.
Anyway,
Oh boy.
that does it for us. So until next week, same time, same place. You guys stay safe. Give thanks and praises, and we'll reconnect then.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye bye. Enjoy. We off?